Hi, I'm Jeff Gonzalez, president of Trident Concepts, and today I'd like to talk to you about first round lethal strikes. So let's define what a first round lethal strike is. In any type of deadly force encounter, the first round that you fire is going to be the most important round that you can fire. It's absolutely critical that that first round land on its intended target. There's a lot of reasons why, but let's talk about the most important reason, which is if you're able to land that first shot, it means that several things were in place. Number one, that your sights were aligned on the target. Number two, that you were able to press the trigger straight to the rear. And number three, that you applied follow-through principles. So because all three of those were in place, you developed a first round lethal strike, which means that the round is more than likely going to impact in the intended target zone that you're aiming at, all right? The beautiful thing about that is that if you did that correctly the first time, number one, you're greatly influencing the outcome of that deadly force encounter. But number two, you're gonna have a higher chance of landing a second and a third and a fourth, or whatever subsequent rounds are necessary to stop the threat, all right? So let's talk about it from the other side. If you fail to apply the principles for sights, for trigger, or for follow through, you're going to more than likely experience a miss. So what does that miss really mean? Well, first of all, if you miss the entire target, you're responsible for that final resting place of the projectile, right? Which could be a bad thing. Maybe it comes to rest harmlessly in a ground, soft sod, or God forbid, into a populated area, okay? Second, if you are missing the vital target zones, then what ends up happening is that you are now relying on the suspect's decision to stop fighting. Maybe he does. Maybe the shock of being shot, maybe the initial pain as a result is enough to where he wants to stop fighting. But it is unlikely that that is something that you want to rely on. So instead, that miss that you created provides the opportunity for them to continue to do you harm. So if you're able to get that first round lethal strike, you greatly reduce the chance of them being able to do you harm. But if you miss or you get a peripheral hit, now you're running the risk of, number one, missing the target completely. Number two, peripheral hit that's not stopping the threat. Number three, exposing yourself to more danger, okay? So the ability for you to deliver that first round lethal strike is going to hinge on your skill. How much skill do you have? Because the more skill that you have, the less it is about luck, and the more it's about skill, right? So when you look at the grand picture here, if I put effort, time, and resources into my training, then the ability for me to be able to demonstrate on command my ability to align the sights, pull the trigger, and follow through will be such that my potential for a first round lethal strike just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. And again, the more likely, or the first round lethal strike leads to subsequent additional lethal strikes, which then should hopefully help to stop the threat in a much quicker manner, right? What we want to avoid is we want to avoid panicking, because that will definitely not help you. And that is a hard thing to do. Keeping your composure enough to be able to focus on those is critical. Now, I will see it from time to time where I just get crazy on the trigger and I'm not applying those principles. And if I had to identify any one of them that it commonly made as or is commonly not done correctly, it's going to be the trigger, right? So first round lethal strikes are important. First round lethal strike typically leads to supplemental additional strikes, which is then going to hopefully stop the threat sooner and hopefully reduce the risk to your life sooner as well. All right, love to hear your questions or comments. Please feel free to post them down below. Until then, take care and stay safe.